Hey everyone, welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here for this daily astrology report. It's for November 19th, 2020. Our sun is in Scorpio still. The moon is finishing her transit of Capricorn today and is going to enter Aquarius. And Mercury is going to leave shadow after today and enter new depths of realization and new depths of feeling, and the information that we are going to be exposed to, the way we communicate, the knowledge that we interact with. We're going to start going into new territory now that Mercury is going to exit its shadow. So the last many weeks, this is all territory that we've gone over 3 times over. And now it's going to start moving forward in the Scorpio realm. And so remember that Mercury is a guide into the underworld. It's not, there's no getting trapped there. Mercury's swiftness, just like the swiftness of our mind, allows us to interact with this space, the underworld, without getting trapped there. And this is going to work to our advantage, I think. Now, the sun has already tread all of this territory during the transit during Scorpio. And so our collective expression, what we do, has been about this shared experience. And we've been expressing ourselves through the power of this shared experience, the symbolism, the camaraderie, all of that stuff has been there with the sun in Scorpio. And so Mercury is going to go over that territory as well. But rather than expressing ourselves and being ourselves in that Scorpio realm, Mercury is going to engage with the information, and it's going to be processed through our minds. It's going to be like data collection as opposed to expressing ourselves through this shared experience. And that has been very powerful for everybody, because we're all having camaraderie somewhere with some group of people and some symbolic things that we're all giving our energy to and expressing ourselves through. And we're starting to get a sense now of this unifying spiritual factor, especially because we're kind of growing tired of all of the outer stuff. And this sun in late Scorpio is allowing us to express ourselves through the spiritual unifying factor rather than the outer aspects. Now, in a sextile to Saturn, Saturn at this point is like an aviary. And if you've ever been into an aviary, you know that it is an enclosure, but within that enclosure is this open space where all the birds move around freely. And the birds, as a symbol, represent spiritual aspects, a transcendent way of looking at things. But there is a definitive structure that allows that to happen. We've gone up the mountain, right? We've put this diligent work in, and then and Saturn has really pushed us and made it unavoidable, right? It's just like, no, this is the path, because Saturn crystallizes and structures everything it touches. And so now it's at this aviary, and in terms of a symbol, and there are a lot of voices that we can interact with, that there's inner voices and lots of them, and they're flying all around. And the reason that we can kind of stand in the midst of all of these voices and spiritual perspectives flying around us is because there is in fact an enclosure that has been created by our culture and our society. And the institutions, the corporations, the economy itself, all of these things are manifested structures from collective values and belief systems, which are powerful. And we can get a sense of which voices we're going to engage with because of this sextile from the sun, this unifying spiritual factor that we're coming to fully understand in late Scorpio, because of all of the time in the depths, right? Pulling back the layers, getting into the subconscious, doing the shadow work, looking at the dark aspects, peeking around the dark corners and shining a light, and being able to come back up from that as well. So it's with the sun, with the moon also in Capricorn, it's just been very serious. This is a very this is a difficult position for the moon. She is in detriment in Capricorn. She is in the opposite of her home sign. And so she does not like the discipline, taking responsibility for things. She doesn't want her to do her chores. And she certainly does not feel good about getting disciplined by the paternal figure, right? That's saying these are the boundaries that you need to stay within. These are your responsibilities. And if you want to manifest anything, you're going to have to take some responsibility and do your chores, right? You have to get up and grind it out no matter what. If you've ever read the book, The War of Art, not The Art of War, although that's good too. The War of Art, it's about how you make the transition from being an amateur artist or whatever you do. But in this case, it was, the war of art. So we're talking about artists. So a writer, a musician, whatever your art is, your creative passion, the transition from amateur and novice to professional is grinding it out every day. Even when you don't want to do it, you stay consistent and there is a path that you follow. And eventually there will be the aviary, right, that you get to, but there is still this enclosure here and the moon, once it reaches Saturn, we're emotionally going to get a real clear sense of, there might be a lot of voices that we can interact with, but they're still contained within this structure and form. And the sun in late Scorpio like this, it's a sextile, right? It's harmonious, but we have to act on it in some way. And there are many of us that are just kind of getting weary of the outer display of our culture. And this is going to, I don't want to say polarize the consciousness, but it will, because we're going to find an inner allegiance, to this spiritual unifying factor with the sun. And we're going to express ourselves through it. And I think this is going to allow us to know which voices to listen to on the inside. And I'm not, this is not like listen to the voices in your head, but totally listen to the voices in your head, because they're just you. And being able to know which voices are your higher self. Now, Venus in late Libra is square to Saturn at this point. And Venus in late Libra is holding the scales of justice and using her own sense feeling to know when it's balanced, because her whole jam is about how she feels in terms of not her emotions, but what feels good to her, what's satisfying, what's beautiful, what's aesthetically pleasing and balanced, right? Libra is about justice and fairness, and Venus wants those things because those are what create beauty and harmony. So in late Libra, there is no real form or structure. We're talking about cardinal air. So there's direction, there's transmission of knowledge, but there's not structure and form. And this degree is about becoming aware of the spiritual forces and the assistance that we have all around us, either spiritually or in the form of the community. And there's no enclosure here with Venus, right? She is just able to know, and she's coming to realize fully that there is a community that is assisting her, and that there's an inner assurance here, but there's no framework, right? There's no enclosure like Saturn offers, because Saturn structures and crystallizes everything it touches. And so the square here is going to really challenge us. There may be a lot of voices, but they're still enclosed in the culture that is ultimately being destroyed by Pluto right now. And with the moon meeting all of them, so we're going to feel a lot more emotionally connected to these forms and structures. Even though she's not very powerful here, we're still going to have this psychic intuitive connection to our responsibility, to the structures that have been built. And Venus is really giving us a chance to trust our intuition, trust what we feel in terms of what is justice, what is balance, what is fairness, and trust the community as its own entity, and that we have gathered the knowledge in order to be able to apply it to what is fair and balanced and just in a community, and knowing that that community in it of itself supports each other. There, like I said, no structure or form, just all birds, right? Whereas Saturn is like, well, yeah, there's all birds, but I have it enclosed in this matrix. And this is going to be a really interesting day because of that. And then, like I said, with Mercury moving out of shadow, we're going to start going into new territory in terms of what it means to share experiences, the power of symbols, the power of ritual, the power of coming together and being and in camaraderie. What does that mean? And secrets, right? The things that are hidden under the surface, that is all the Scorpio archetype. And that is we're going to start getting new information now and engaging with new information. So it's, again, serious day, at least until the moon moves into Aquarius. And then it's going to be kind of a, you know, emotional futility, if that makes any sense. It's not that it'll seem futile in a negative way. It's just that we will get to a point where intuitively and psychically, we will be like, oh, this is what it is. In the meantime, though, we are going to be tested, and we're also going to have the opportunity to express ourselves collectively through this unifying spiritual factor that will allow us to really decide what voices we're going to listen to. And it's going to be hard with the Capricorn energy and with the moon meeting Saturn today. So that's the astrology in a nutshell. The moon's going to move into Aquarius by the afternoon, and then we're getting to the end of Scorpio season, and the sun's going to move into Sag, and it's going to be much more about our belief systems, about alchemy, about unification, the friction that creates the heat that then causes the chemical reaction. That is what a catalyst is, and that catalyzation is what create something new and substantial. But in the meantime, we're still wrapping up this Scorpio energy, and we're really getting a sense of what it means to share an experience and how absolutely powerful it is when we come together. And maybe there's something new to be created here, okay? And we're going to get a sense of what that means over the next couple of months. So thank you so much for joining me. If you are at all interested in this content, please consider subscribing and definitely hitting the like button. This is how the algorithm knows to spread this information. You can also hit the notification bell, and it lets you know whenever I upload content. Everything you need is in the description box below, including website, email address, and how to get in touch on social media. I do intuitive readings live every morning on Facebook. So that's something that you can also engage with. And it really kind of brings both pieces of the astrology and then the intuitive piece together to give a very comprehensive view for the day. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I will see you on the next video.